looks like Noda is going to be your winner of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Is your champion. JJ splits the middle, gets past both drivers. It is race number 4 of the season here, Spain. Wonderful, wonderful track. I love this track. I have been driving this track like crazy recently. And some people are going to be like, well, why are you driving the track? You're the commentator. This is, of course, going to be the home of the 8-hour ACC endurance race that we are running here in FRL next month. However, for drivers this week, this is the home here of our race. This is the home of some amazing action. We've seen some great last-minute wet weather passes happen here in FRL. We've seen some amazing runs through, of course. Great 16 turns, almost a 3-mile circuit, 2 DRS zones through, and we should see a lot of great action here this weekend. Jumping on board here for Split 2, kicking off our weekend here in FRL, and we are seeing already drivers going out on track, and things are starting to get underway very, very early on. We've got Insidious, first driver out on track that I see. There is an Alfa Romeo in front of him, of Baran. Of course, here in Split 2 running through, so Radislav Kepa currently our driver's champion leader. Baran in P2, Radislav Kepa winning Split 2 last week in exciting fashion. Andre finishing P2 with Velix in P3 last week in Portugal. Portugal was a really, really fun race to watch. I really enjoyed that as well, watching here with Split 2. And now we get to see qualifying and the race here this weekend, brought to you here on Twitch with FRL. Things are going to get underway very quickly. Of course, if you're new to FRL, I want to welcome you along here. It's an 18-minute qualifying session followed by a 50% race here for these drivers. Of course, Split 2 precedes Split 1. Split 1 follows this race here. So we've got 2 races, plenty of action coming through here for Barcelona. It should be a great race. We're watching Insidious starting this flying lap. And as I've said, you know, the FRL ACC Endurance team has been training. We've got 3 teams together so far for the race that is going to be on February 18th. 8-hour endurance race here in Barcelona in GT3 cars, and that will be streamed here on the FRL Twitch as well, so you can tune in and watch that if you don't get enough of this track now. And as you can see, Insidious learning some of the rules of this track early on. You have to watch the rear grip coming through turn 3. Insidious not doing that and catching himself out there and spinning. Let's jump on board here with Kushor, who was just behind him as we're back underway, and things are looking really good coming through the left-hander here. Downhill braking through and out. Really, really love the flow of this track. This is a classic track. Of course, preseason testing for Formula One usually held here at Spain, Barcelona, however you may know it. Watching through here, the chicane, I think this is going to be where a lot of drivers are going to have to watch out for those big yellow sausage curbs on the edge of the track. Can easily break your car. Kier with a 117.6. I believe that is a new face here in Split 2 that we're seeing going through. Kushtor with a 118.2. So Kier putting in time early to go ahead and try to cement a name there. Here with his second start in FRL. First start was in Hungary, finished P10 there. So very, very good pace early on from the reserve driver filling in the Haas. Jump on board here with Mumamek, who is coming through the final sector around. Looking pretty strong there. 119.3 P12. So currently slowest time out on track. Plenty of time left to find there for that driver. We have Meku and Gamer who are following each other out of the final sector, the Haas and the Ferrari respectively. As they come down final sector, come across the line, Meku in a 121, Gamer with a 127, so both drivers very slow through compared to some of our top times here. Pink comes through with a 121.3, and now we've got three drivers in the pits, Insidious, Franick, and Baran, who need to still go through and put times in, and it doesn't look like they are in any hurry to do so, but we see all of our other drivers are now coming into the pits. Everyone, it looks like, is going to be on a similar run plan here. Outlaps in, outlap, push in. You can see lots of drivers coming around going into the pits now. I don't see anyone continuing on a lap. I don't see anyone attempting a second push lap that I can tell. There's the Ferrari into the pits there, Mumek, and there goes Nekshak into the pits with him. Topove coming into the final sector here. We'll see, is Topove going to go into the pits? And Topove making that hard right turn out of the final corner into the pits. Gamer's going to follow him in. Pink is coming through third sector. The Haas of Maku follows in. And Pink, I believe, will be the last one to go in. Insidious now coming through for an outlap. And this is going to be a very important outlap for Insidious. So, and of course, while you're joining us here in FRL, if you've been keeping up with the Rolex 24 hours of Daytona, they're down in their last 30 minutes now. Currently, it looks like on track, 30 minutes left. They went through a 6-hour stint overnight, or during the day, depending on where you're at here, but overnight for the drivers. They went through a 6-hour stint with no cautions, and they've had multiple cautions now in the 24 hours of Daytona. So lots of big motorsport events happening this weekend. This is the start back of motorsports in real life for 2023. Of course, FRL, we're a few weeks ahead, so great to have everyone with us. We're enjoying everything through. Insidious finishing out his outlap here. And it looks like Gamer and Pink are still there. Gamer off the track there in the middle sector. Pink is coming through, and I'm trying to tell where Pink's times are sitting at the moment. Seems like not in a bad spot. 1.2 up there. So Pink on contention to get himself into the top 10 from what I can tell here with the timings. And we'll keep our eyes on that. Insidious just now starting a flying lap, so we'll jump back with Insidious as well in just a moment once Insidious is a little bit further along there in the lap. Pink coming through final sector, avoiding the sausage curbs, good apex out, riding it all the way to the curb, all the way down, and Pink does improve by over a second, but still only good enough for P14, and now we've got more drivers out on laps here. We've got Kubu who's out doing a lap, and Kubu coming across, starting a flying lap. My apologies. And now we'll jump here. Insidious invalidating his lap for track limits. So for Insidious, it's been a hard qualifying. Spinning out in turn 3 on first push lap, and now catching track limits in, I believe it was turn 3 as well. We've got an and rear braking traction again for Insidious. You can see Insidious getting out of the way there of the Aston Martin going past of Radislav Kepa. And Kepa coming down now for a good third sector. We'll see where times land. You can see the speed that they carry through the final corner through. And now Radoslav Kepa with a 1:18.2, good enough for P4. We're going to jump here with our current provisional pole sitter, Kier. And right on board here through, and you can see just flat through there, 7th gear. Very, very brave, and now very late on the brakes, diving in. Down into 4th gear for the left-hander here. Back around to the right, you can see a little bit of lap traffic there, getting all the way in the grass to stay out of the way. Very, very good looking coming through the final chicane here. 3rd gear, 4th gear, little bit of slip, and then diving right into the pits there. Now we've got Marios here coming through the final sector, currently setting at a 1:18.1 in the Williams. P2 half a second off of our current pole sitter, which is very, very unusual. Now diving into the pits. So a lot of drivers back into the pits again now after setting times. Things have mixed up a little bit. We've got Nathan in P5 in the Mercedes. And of course, Nathan is our newest driver to the grid. So if Nathan can preview here in the top 10, will be a very, very good run for Nathan. Just joining the league, and of course the league does always have spots open. Even though we have drivers set up, we've always got spots for reserves for both split 2 and split 1. So if you're interested in joining, definitely check out our Discord, jump in, go in, pick a number, introduce yourself, and then set yourself up to be a reserve driver. If there's a spot open, you can get dibs on it during racetrack in every weekend. One of the things that's different with Barcelona is you can see that turn starting the 3rd sector. As we'll jump on board here with Insidious coming through. But this left-hander here isn't a sharp 90-degree in. It's rounded out a lot more here with this new iteration of the track, and I really like it because it flows a lot better. It's not a sharp left into a chicane, into a hard right-hander. They've widened that out a lot and made it flow a lot better, which makes it a lot of fun to run through and definitely a lot of enjoyment for the drivers. It just feels a lot more natural in the car for these drivers. And of course, the drivers are going to have to watch their left side tires as they go through. As this is a clockwise track, a majority of the turns are to the right. So tire deck on the left-hand side is going to be something they have to watch, especially those left fronts. Left fronts are going to want to let go. And I think what we're seeing here is a lot of the drivers trying to hold on. Is Insidious has the Haas of Maku right behind him. They're both on push laps with each other here, and it's very interesting to see 6 minutes left to go in qualifying, so we're already 12 minutes through an 18-minute session. You can see too, one of the big iterations with the 2022 cars is we're gearing up for car launches in 2023 starting in the next couple of weeks. But the thing about the 2022 cars that I find really impressive is how close they can follow. If you look there, Maku right behind Insidious has not left the back of Insidious at all this lap, and I mean he's still just right there behind him. If we jump on board here with Maku, you can see just how close he's able to get and stay there to the AlphaTauri driver as Maku dives into the pits there after getting very, very close in the chicane. Insidious comes across the line with a 1:19.2, so not improving any significant amount of time there, up to P13, but still plenty of time to find there, as we're seeing the top two Haas drivers, a 1:17.6 and a 1:17.7. Insidious, a famous turn one spin, and it looks like he was joined there by, I believe that is Gamer, who is sitting there in sector one as well, spun out. So very, very tricky track this is. You have to be right on the level of traction and no traction. We see Kushor coming through, going into the pits now, and we've got Marios, who is purple first sector, so we're going to jump on board with this lap, and we're going to just enjoy the lap here from the Williams Racing driver. Purple sector 1, continuing to push here, middle sector, and just look at how, I mean, a lift there, but just a lift turn and sends it through. I love watching the drivers do that. And now braking very, very late here and staying through. You can see just how them adjusting that corner has made that corner easier for the drivers, and very, very late double apex here. Comes through. Now we're into the chicanes. Third sector, left. Hug as close to the sausage curb as you can, but don't hit it. And now we're going to be through and come around the final corner, flat out to the line, DRS open, and Marios comes across, improves 0.2, a 1:17.9, good enough for P3, but still 0.3 off of our current pole setter Kier. Radislav Kepa, our current drivers champion, sitting currently P5 in qualifying, and of course we do know with Radislav Kepa that a very, very consistent driver. That's the reason he's the top of the drivers championship. Of course, we saw in round 3, he was the race winner. He wasn't in pole position, but he was fastest lap driver of the day, moved up 10 places from qualifying. So really just has to take advantage of a good run and a good race. And Radislav Kepa, it's not about where you start, it's about where you finish. And if anyone should know that, it should be every driver here in FRL, because I feel like I say that every weekend we watch a race. Constructors Championship belongs to Aston Martin as well so far. 3 rounds in, they've got 2 poles, 2 P1s, 3 podiums to their name, and haven't finished outside the points yet for Baran and Radislav Kepa. But currently, as we watch here, Baran down in P18 on an outlap there going through the first sector. So a little bit of time Baran needs to find, as we have a driver out of the session there, and Marios, the P3 driver in the Williams, now out of the session, and we'll see where Marios finds themselves. And then next check here, spinning third sector, going very, very slow. And now we've got lots of drivers on outlaps. 1:45 left, qualifying moves fast, so this is make or break for most of these drivers. If you're not on a push lap now or an outlap now, you are in trouble. Laps 1:15 around here, or 1:20 really for a lap. Outlap's probably 1:30, 1:45 if you're not pushing it. So this is going to be where we start to see the most risk being taken here for the drivers. It really is make or break, win or lose. You just have to put a lap in. You have to get a clean lap down. If you're a driver like Insidious, Gamer, Pink, Topove, you know you have time in the bag to make a lap. You just have to do the lap and no mistakes. As we watch Insidious coming across the line, 60 seconds left here in qualifying. Insidious comes across the line now. We can see going through turn 2, starting into the long right-hander turn 3. Very, very clean so far from Insidious. No breaking the rear traction. Maybe a little bit safe through there, but still looking very good. You can see the sparks from the downforce from the back of the car. Next Shack now retiring out, spinning there in the middle sector. The very, very hard left-right. This left has a bump in it that you don't see, and it can unsettle the car, and I believe that's what's happened to Next Shack as you come through right there, and then you can see him, yep, spinning out of that corner. Now just a flick in here in the right-hander, down through the third sector, and the third sector is just slow chicanes. Baran coming in with the fastest lap at a 1:17.2. Half a second up on Kier's time. Very, very impressive time from the Aston Martin driver. So Aston Martin trying to submit their names through. We've got yellow flags, sector 1 and 2 of the track, so I think we're seeing a little bit of gamesmanship coming through as we see Insidious coming around final sector. He's got a driver behind him there, and I believe that is Velix right behind him. As Insidious comes across the line, Insidious is going to do a 1:19.1, And who was that came across the line behind him? I believe that was Kushor with a 1:18.2. Now we've got more drivers crossing the line there. We've got Nathan at a 1:18.279. So Nathan is going to be through with qualifying now. Kubu has already finished. Juro has already finished. Who is that coming across the line now? That is the half of Maku, who does not improve time and stays a 1:17.632. Now we've got Kier, who is going through the first sector now. So Kier is going to be the one competing for pole here against Baran. Baran coming through the final sector. It was down in the middle sector. Is Baran going to be able to come across and improve? As Baran comes down the final straight, Baran is going to put in a 1:18.0. So does not improve on best time. So now just a few drivers left to go here to bring it against Baran's time. Very, very strong time. 1:17.29 is what Kier has, and a 2:1 is where Baran is. So hundredths of a second making up the difference here for these drivers. And now Kier is going to be into the pit. So that is our qualifying session over. So Baran helping to keep Aston Martin on top in the Drivers' Championship and Constructors' Championship. Currently sitting with provisional pole, but of course, it's not about where you start. It's about where you finish. So for Baran, has to keep it very, very strong through. Maku in P3, 1:17.6. So the top two with a significant pace difference. I don't know where that pace difference is, and all of the drivers are going to be scratching their heads saying, where is this pace difference? Where are they hooking up so much time from? So we're going to see where things come through. We're going to take a short break here as our qualifying is over. We're just waiting on the session to reset here and click out. There it is now. We can see through. We'll check out the final timing board here. Maku, of course, coming in third. Very, very good timing there. So Baran, Kier, Maku, Marios, Zuro, Radislav Kepa, Kushor, Velix, Nathan, Nekshak, Zaxi, Mumamek, Topove, Franek, Pink, Insidious, Kubu, and Gamer. Our 18 drivers are going to advance here to this Spanish Grand Prix. And we will be back momentarily. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us in, I want to welcome you here to the Split 2 race for Fox's Racing League. Round 4, Split 2 in the Spanish Grand Prix. Of course, 16 turns here in Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. A great track here. If you're new to watching Fox's Racing League, welcome here. If it's your first stream, if it's your 100th stream, if you've been with us since Season 1, Split 1, Round 1, welcome anyways in. We are getting everything set up here. It should be an exciting race. Forgive me for the repetition here and the circling of the intro graphic. Getting the lobby set up here. There is a lobby reset here in the league between the qualifying in the race just because of some desync and disconnect issues here with F122. Of course, still doesn't change too much. It's still a great race. We really enjoy watching it, and we really enjoy hosting here. Here in Split 2, things should be getting going in about 60 seconds. I did just want to touch on again, I mentioned it during qualifying, but I want to take a couple more minutes and mention it. If you do have an interest in F122, you love league racing, you love sim racing, and you'd love to join the league, go ahead and check out the Discord. Jump in, jump on, claim your number, go ahead and sign up to be a reserve driver. That is how you get your start here in FRL. We've seen some of the greats here in FRL get their names as reserve drivers and then move up, and now they are some of the top drivers in Split 1 and Split 2. But you got to start somewhere, and we'd love to have you at least start with us. Watching through here, we're about 60 seconds of the start. Of course, no formation lap either, so once you see the cars, it is lights off and away we go. As my friend Syntax loves to say. Of course, also, if you're jumping between us and the 24 hours of Daytona, I'm doing the same thing myself. I'm not going to lie to you. So you may hear me make a couple comments about 24 hours as we watch, but I won't change my attention from the drivers on screen. Everyone getting started here. I think the big names that we're going to have to watch for is the reserve Haas driver, who is going to, I believe, make a big show here. Kier 21, who was sitting in provisional pole for a while and then dropped down to P2. Baran able to put himself up into pole position. Of course, Baran in France, round 2 coming in P1. Aston Martin secured a 1-2 in France. And then last week in Portugal, Radislav Kepa finished P1. Baran finishing P5 after some gutsy strategy, I'll call it. So we'll really see where things end up landing this week. We're going to go ahead and go to the track here. We are just a few seconds away, and it's going to be 5 red lights. And we are underway here already for the Spanish Grand Prix here in Split 2 of FRL. You can see drivers already jockeying for position. That is the Alfa Romeo of Kubu, who has already went around in the background there. Sepulveda with a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Kubu. We're 3 wide into turn 1, and that's the Aston Martin getting a little gutsy there with Kier and Maku. And it looks like the Hasses are going to lead through turn 3, side by side coming through turn 3. Which one of the drivers is going to come out ahead? And it looks like coming through Kier there is on the inside, just barely ahead. But Maku not giving him space. The teammates are being very aggressive early on here, and they have the Aston Martin of Baran behind him. Baran losing a couple places off at the start. You can see in the midfield, though, things very competitive. The Ferrari there, I believe that is Mumamek bumping in with Nathan, and now we see someone plummeting down the order. I believe that is Nathan, who's actually plummeted way back and lost out on a lot of time. But the leaders up front here, Maku, Baran holding on to the position. We'll look at tire strategies. We'll look at everything in a second once the drivers settle down here after this first lap. You can see someone going extremely wide. That is, I believe, Mumamek in the Ferrari going severely wide there. Frenick in Depalve, Insidious, Zaki, lots of drivers here through this left-hander in Sector 3 going side by side around. Zaki is going to try to go the long way around, doesn't make it stick, and Frenick able to come out in P9 here. 33 laps of action coming through. We're only 1 lap in, and where are the drivers going to be now as we go through? Maku's crossed the line there, and now we've already got drivers into the pits there. Zaki in the pits to replace a wing, but lap 1 done in the books. We've got Zaki and Mumamek into the pits. Mumamek picking up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane now, and we've got Kubu into the pits as well. So 1 lap of action through. Predict the pit stop strategy, medium to hard or soft, medium, depending on how you're feeling here in this Spanish Grand Prix. Haas sitting 1-2, something they can't do in real life, but with the fun of esports, they can do here for us. So, and as we look, Maku, Kier, Baran, Kushor, Juro, Nekshak, Radislav Kepa, Velix, Franick, Insidious rounding out our top 10. And very competitive racing early on. Maku and Kier running side by side for a majority of the start there. I didn't think they were going to give each other any space. You can see even though they're teammates, they're still competing very hard. Of course, neither of those drivers are permanent Haas drivers, so this is 1 for the money, 2 for the show for them. Maku, Kier, Baran. Kier and Baran on hard tires, Maku on the mediums, Kushor, Juro, Nekshak on the mediums, Radislav Kepa and Velix on the hards. We're now going to be under, I believe, a VSC as Kubu has now retired out from the race. It looks like spinning there in Sector 1 and losing out. So now we are going to be... Yep, that is Kubu's race over. Very unfortunate. We're VSC, I believe, not a full safety car. So drivers will just kind of pace around a little bit here. Only 1 driver on the soft so far, and it looks like that is Pink, but I believe Pink had to pit, if I'm not wrong. Actually, no, Pink did not pit. Zaki and Mumamek are the only ones that have pit. Kubu, of course, DNFing out. Now, we're back under racing. DRS is now enabled, so we should start seeing a little bit of DRS power. Baran is going to set off the chasing Kier as much as he can. We've got a little bit of jockeying for position there. Insidious spinning out and losing several places. Baran currently sitting P3, chasing down Kier in P2. We'll see how this battle shapes up. Radislav Kepa in P7, his teammate trying to chase down Nekshak in P6. So we'll have to watch that battle as well and see where that lands. Three laps already down, 30 to go here left in this Spanish Grand Prix. Continue to watch as drivers go around here, and things move very fast here in FRL. And one of the things that I really wonder about just as we watch, it's nice and sunny now, but I remember one of the last times we were at Spanish Grand Prix and AD Gamer won because of some horky-borky rain. and some great late cautions and having to change on the intermediate tires before anyone else could. So I wonder if we're going to see weather play a role in this race at all. And now Mario's back in P14, coming around with the fastest lap there on 3-lap on mediums. You can see a big slide there from Baran. So Baran losing several tenths there as they go through turn 4. So now we come through yellow flag sector 1. That is going to be for Mumamek, who is spun. Drivers are starting to settle in. One of the battles I'm kind of keeping my eyes on, though, is going to be Nathan back in the back, Mercedes driver, and you can tell because look at the name, LH Nathan 44. We've had drivers drop back. Now Baran with a big error there out of the final corner, losing significant time coming through, and now Baran is going to be all the way back, drops all the way back to P10 now, from where Baran was running in P3, trying to have a chase. Again, you've got to finish the race as we go through. Now we've got yellow flag, all 3 sectors. I think that's another VSC that has been deployed here. So the field is neutralized. Everyone has to maintain a positive delta. It's about 60% of regular racing speed, and then VSC will end at some point. Don't know exactly when it'll end. So we'll keep our eyes here. Baran, Nathan, and Franick chasing down Velix. And then you have a 3-second gap there. Next shack to Radislav Kepa. So I think coming out. Oh, Topove with a penalty for speeding under VSC. And I think right here, Next Shack didn't get a good jump out of the VSC. So Next Shack losing a few tenths off of the end of the VSC, which is very, very unfortunate for Next Shack. Topove DNFing out of the session there through turn 5. I don't know what happened there to Topove, but we'll see if we can tell. We're not going to be able to get a good view of it, but Topove out of the session now. We've got yellow flag sector 2 and sector 3. Mumamek now retiring out of the session in the pit lane. That is going to be the Ferrari driver's race over. But story of the race so far is Haas, P1, P2, and just cruising here. Maku and Kier are just cruising around. They just need to be consistent here. Of course, alternate tire strategy from the 2 Haas drivers, which we should see play to their advantage to try to keep the lead. 1.2 seconds between Maku and Kier, and Kushor is 3.4 back on Kier. So we should see a lot of good racing there. Radislav Kepa, who is trying to chase down Next Shack and finish higher up in the places to keep himself ahead on the Drivers' Championship standings, currently separated from his teammate by 13 points, and then 21 points back is Next Shack. So Next Shack P3 in the Drivers' Championship, a driver that could definitely take down Radislav Kepa if he wanted to. It's just a matter of, are they going to be able to keep up? Jump back here. We'll jump back to the mid-pack now. Baran, Nathan, and Franick, who are all trying to chase down Velix. You can see a little bit of jockeying there from Nathan. Nathan, I'm sure, is a Lewis Hamilton fan. You can see the 44 LH in his gamer tag. You know, looking back, last time we ran here was Season 6, and the second place finisher in Season 6 was Maku. Baran, 5-second penalty speeding in the pit lane. Oh. Such a strong driver with just an unfortunate mistake there, and that can cost you big time. But now we're watching here as Franick is under pressure there from Nathan and Velix is under pressure from Franick and Nathan. There we go. That's what's happening on your screen right now. And now we're going to jump up a little bit as we continue to keep our eyes on this battle developing, because Maku and Kier here, Kier just put in the fastest middle sector and is starting to gain some pretty significant time here on Maku as we watch him go through the third sector, the hard right-hander here, and now we're into the chicanes, turns 14 and 15. Now as they come through turn 16, flat fourth gear all the way down. And now Kier with a 120.9, so does set the fastest lap, has DRS on his teammate now, and is going to just try to hang out. Of course, Maku, as I was trying to say, last time we were here, finished P2. And big battle here from Marios and Gamer. Gamer, it looks like, with an error moving back. Radislav Kepa now able to get past Nekshak through the DRS zone into turn 1, is going to hold on to that. Is Nekshak going to be able to stay close enough, though, to try to have a run here? Now we're going through turn 3. Long sweeping right-hander. You can see Nekshak trying to set up a little bit wider, hold a little bit more pace, looking for somewhere that there could be a move made. I don't see anywhere good for Nekshak to make a move there. Velix and Kushor now swapping positions there in P6 and P7 as we have Franek and Nathan who are pushing through and trying to gain. Franek is just a 1/10 of a second, 2/10 of a second. Now it's 3/10 of a second back, so a little bit of a poor run there out of turns 7 and, or going into turn 7 and 8 out of turn 6. And now Nathan 3/10 of a second back there. You can see Nathan with DRS had a little bit of a think about a dive down the inside going into turn 10. Decided not to. Could have been an opportune move, but would have had to be really brave. And we're only 9 laps into 33. There's no point in making any sort of inopportune, just not smart risk. We're not down to the end of the race here. Yellow flag sector 2, that is going to be for Zaki, who has spun in the middle sector but is back going. And now look at the gap that Kier and Maku have built out here on Juro. 7.6 seconds the gap, so the two Haas drivers are just hanging on to each other here and just going. They have decided they're going to take off, build up a gap, and go. This battle for the midfield is heating up as well. Kushor 3/10 of a second back on teammate Velix. Kushor trying to play a little bit of defense here for his teammate and hold back Franek and Nathan just a bit. And it seems like it might be working here, or Velix might be the cork in the bottle, just keeping everyone back, and as soon as one person gets by, could be very, very good. I believe that is Pink who has spun in the first sector, and now I think Insidious has spun in the first sector as well. So both of those drivers now back underway. No issues there. We're going to jump back here with big battle there. Look at that. That is Kushor on the inside of Velix. Which driver is going to hold on to it there? And now you can see Kushor pass his teammate Velix, and that is going to be the opportunity that is needed to allow Franek and Nathan through, because Franek is going to be right there trying to stick a front wing in the mix and not close enough there, so Kushor being allowed past by Velix and a little bit more speed. And now look at that, Marios now into the mix as well, just less than a second back. DRS open here. This is going to be where things get competitive. We see the slipstream here from Franek. Is Franek going to be able to get through? Franek is going to look on the left-hand side here, try to hold the outside through turn 1, which turns into the inside for turn 2. He's on the outside there. As we switch to the inside, he holds on to it, goes a little bit wide, pushes Velix just a little wide there. Now Nathan is going to have a bit of a run around the outside here through turn 3, hold on to the power, and Velix just doesn't have the grip to fight that. So Velix now dropping back to P9 from P6. Kushor trying to take off a little bit. 1.6 seconds the gap between Kushor and Franek. So Velix holding a lot of time there, but Velix not dropping back as bad. Still holding on there. Marios now in the mix as well. And Marios on the medium tire is going to try to look to have a pass there. Insidious now out of the session, retiring in the pit lane. You can see how the drivers are just holding onto the curb there as we go through. Marios going to try to have a run here with DRS. Is Marios going to be able to make a move? Not yet. And actually Marios might try something a little unconventional here. Was thinking about doing a little bit of a switchback. Not close enough to make anything stick. You can see a little bit of grip issues, and Marios losing over half a second there. Jumping around a little bit, actually, and that is interesting to see there from the Williams driver. A little bit of connection issues, but that is the nature of online racing. And now we'll see, where does Marios find himself against Velix. Velix dropped out of DRS. range from Nathan, so Mario should be able just to look around the outside here in turn 1 that turns into the inside for turn 2, which is the way you want to pass here in Barcelona. It seems a little unconventional. Switch back there, so Mario's losing a lot of traction. No, never mind, Mario's is ahead. Connection issues there for the Williams driver, but does see themselves come out ahead of Velix. And now Nathan 1.8 seconds back, frantic 0.4 of a second back here on Nathan. So we're going to watch this battle as it develops. I'm wondering when the Haas drivers are going to decide to pit, because we're now 10 laps in on the mediums. I would say you could probably pit around lap 15. Lap 14, lap 15, if you're going to go into hard tires, would be what I would guess a good strategy. Of course, as we watch these drivers fight and battle here, the 24 hours at Daytona, the Rolex 24, has just finished, and Bloomquist, the number 60 in the GTP category, coming out on top for the Acuras, I believe that is. So that is going to be exciting to see. 24 hours of Daytona is now finished, and that is, for us, the signal of the new era and new season here of 2023 motorsports. And I've watched most of the 24 hours. It's been really exciting to watch. And now we're back here with FRL. I absolutely love this. I love the Sundays. I love just all of the motorsports that happens in a weekend. Frantic is loving the chase down on Nathan, but not loving his side view mirrors here, with Marios in the Williams starting to fill those mirrors up a little bit more as we go lap by lap. 0.3 of a second the gap behind, 0.3 of a second the gap in front. Frantic needs to find a little bit of time one way or the other to try to catch up there on Nathan. Nathan holding very, very steady at a 1.8 second gap to Kushor. So things have settled down quite a bit. This battle here for P7 is the best battle on track because, of course, the Haas's are P1 and P2. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, Haas's in P1 and P2, they aren't going to do anything that'll compromise their race, because if Haas can finish P1, P2, they are going to absolutely love it. Still watching here, drivers going through. We're 13 of 33 laps in, 20 laps to go, and it's clear just with pure domination holding on. Yellow flag sector 3, I believe that is going to be for Pink, who has spun but is back underway with no issues. So Mercedes, a little bit of an interesting race here. Nathan in P7, Pink all the way back in P13, just having a very, very poor race. A minute 11 off the leader. And of course, when you're on a minute 20 lap, that is spells lapped traffic for a day. Baran, who was P2 in our Drivers' Championship, I am going to say this is going to be a race write-off for Baran, and one that they want to forget. But now we have drivers into the pits here. Maku in the Haas, the first driver to go into the pits, opting for the hard tires. Are any of the medium tire runners going to follow him through? I see no other drivers into the pits now. Through Marios in P9 is the next driver to take that jump and jumps in there. And we'll see, I would imagine, hard tires as well for Marios. And this is going to be where we start to see things mix up and go a little bit different. Hard tires going on for Marius as well. So two drivers pulling the trigger on pit stops. This is where I said we would start to see pit stops come through, and here it is. Maku coming out in P4, 22 seconds behind teammate Kier. And now just on the outlap, it's all about not running slow and also conserving your hard compound tires, which it seems like Maku is doing very well so far. You can see, though, that battle for P5, P6 that we've been keeping our eyes on there. Next shot, Kushor and Nathan blooming behind him. We'll see if they're able to gain any time on Maku here on the hard tires. It is going to take Maku a little bit longer to get up to speed than Nextjack, Kushor, and Nathan, who are already going, even though they're on dying mediums. But I would imagine these drivers... Oh, and there's a big snap of oversteer there from Nextjack. So Nextjack now going to be under a lot of pressure there. Juro into the pits in the Alfa Romeo. And Nathan now diving into the pits there in the Mercedes. We'll see Nathan going through the pits here, but I'm going to keep my eye on this battle here as Nextjack is having to look there for Kushor around the outside. Outside turns into the inside. They're still side by side here. And who is going to come through in front? Nextjack holding on there against Kushor. And there was someone off there in the first turn. I couldn't tell who that was. I believe that was Baran or potentially Radislav Kepa. Actually, that was Kepa who was off. But Nextjack battling against Kushor, holding on. Pink now picking up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. Bit of an unusual penalty to see here in Spain. You really don't see a lot of corner cutting. And look at that, Nextjack with a big error there, almost going off into the gravel trap, but able to hold on to it. So no harm, no foul. You can see Kushor desperate to make a move here because now Nextjack has his teammate Frantic right behind him as we go through turn 11 into turn 12 here. And now Kushor is going to give up the battle there against Nextjack and dive into the pits here. We'll see what Kushor and the Alpine team are thinking of doing as we make the long run down the pit straight. And Kushor in for hard tires now. Lap 16 of 33. Hard tires going on. We are half distance now. And we're starting to see some of the drivers decide to make early pit stops through and try to take advantage of a tire delta to try to gain some track position. And now Kier and Maku back P1, P2. I don't think Kier has a pit delta's worth of space. And now we'll jump back here as we see Marios and Kushor coming out. The Williams in the Alpine. So pit stops opening up gaps a bit here, but I think it's going to be fun to watch drivers as they come out of the pits and who is going to come back out into traffic, who is going to come out clean. Now as we watch Frantic coming around here and his teammate Nextjack into the pits. So Frantic, I would say, is going to stay out one more lap there with McLaren, as now Frantic also has Radislav Kepa behind him, but Frantic has DRS and Radislav Kepa does not. So Frantic going to go around, I would imagine, one more time as his teammates into the pits there. Fresh set of hard tires going on for Nextjack, and I would say probably the same thing coming for Frantic next lap. And we'll see where Nextjack comes out. I believe Nextjack should come out comfortably in P8 there with plenty of a gap back to Marios. Yes, just under a second back to Marios. So Marios not able to gain position there, even though he pitted a few laps earlier, but might have a run on the outside there. Of course, Nextjack with the colder tires just coming out of the pits, and Marios is going to come out and get P8 against Nextjack and win that battle. And now Nextjack just needs to take his time, warm up his tires, and really just get going and stay comfortable here, because we are over half distance, but still plenty of time left in this race to go. Jumping on board here with Velix and Juro. Of course, Juro, you can see there with the DRS open down the run into turn 10. And now Velix having to defend here against Juro. Juro very, very close. Velix yet to pit. We'll see here. And just as I predicted, the McLaren of Frantic is into the pits here. Is Velix going to dive into the pits this lap? Velix stays out another lap and is going to have to defend here against Juro. Juro is going to have the help of DRS all the way down the main straight here. Who is going to come out on top? It should be easy pickings here for the Alfa Romeo. You can see him coming down the side, diving late on the brakes there on the fresher tires. Stays on the inside, is going to be the outside for turn 3. And Velix on 17 lap old hard tires, defending very, very strongly as we come through. So Juro, even though he's on fresh hard tires, not able to take advantage of the grip difference and sitting back in P5 here, which is very, very unusual. Usually the newer tires would give a big pace advantage, but all over the rear wing of that Alpine. I mean, look at just how close he's staying to him here. I love watching turn 9. Turn 9, 150 miles an hour. Absolutely obnoxious. Juro backing off a little bit here into the third sector, into this sweeping right-hander. So, and now Juro should have an easier time of this here, this go around, as Radoslav Kepa is into the pits, but Juro should really have the easier time now. You can see has the pass done, lifts for turn 1 and has the pass done well before, but make the big error, goes on the sausage curves and lets Velix back by there. I don't know what that was. Maybe a little bit. I'm not sure what that was for Juro letting Velix by, but Juro did let Velix back by there. You could hear the big lift there going into turn 1, which is very unusual. So I don't know if maybe he was told to give the position back for some reason or what that could have been. Checking back here, Radoslav Kepa onto medium tires to finish out 13 laps in this race, which we've seen medium runners do 15, 16 laps, so should be easily doable. Maybe in a little bit of trouble in the dying stages of this race. Velix, Kier, our race leader, into the pits onto a set of mediums. So you can see the hard tire runners are starting to come around and go into the pits here. Now it's just Velix left to pit on hard tires. So you can see Velix under pressure again by Juro, and Velix another lap deciding not to pit here. Juro half a second back again, having a good run here. See, Juro's going to dive on the inside. Should have the pass done well before the braking zone, and does. Dives back up onto the racing line. And for Juro, that should be P3 to run away with now. Gamer 2021 into the pits on 19 lap old hard, going onto a fresh set of mediums in the Ferrari. As we continue to watch here, Juro. Let's check in with our race leader in P2. 21 seconds the gap between Maku and Juro, which is insane. I mean, it's an entire sector difference here on this track. So the Hathas are they're just cruising this race. Yellow flag sector 1, that is going to be for, I believe, Zaki in the Red Bull, who is now back going underway. A race that Baran and Zaki are going to want to forget, as Kier comes across. Purple sector 3 last lap, so putting those medium tires to use early on, building a gap on his teammate, and just cruising along. Let's check back in, though, with our points leader, Radoslav Kepa, who is currently sitting P7, trying to chase down Next Shack in P6, trying to have a bit of a run there. Velix finally opting to go into the pits after losing the position to Juro, and I'm sure going on to medium tires to finish out the race. Of course, 12 laps left to go here in this round 4 here in FRL. And Velix does go on mediums. Velix is going to come out very, very far back, I believe. Should come out around P10 there. And now Radoslav Kepa, there's 0.6 of a second back, half a second back on Next Shot, continuing to just put pressure there on the McLaren driver. Of course, Radoslav Kepa we know is consistent. We know Next Shot is consistent. This is, of course, effectively a battle for what could secure a points championship in the end. This could spell the Drivers' Championship, as we see Kier putting in a 1:19.9 fastest lap of the Grand Prix, nearly half a lap ahead of P3 and everyone behind. You can see there, Radislav Kepa thinking about a diver on the outside. Switch back there. Next shot gets a bit of a poor run there. Out of turn 10 into turn 11. Turn 12 there on the outside. Contact coming through, and Nexshack is going to fall back very hard. Oh, that's going to be looked at later, I'm sure. It's hard to tell from my view if Nexshack came out running wide. But Nexshack back underway. I don't see any front wing damage, thankfully. But Nexshack now dropping several seconds back from the P4, P5 that he was in. A bit of a cheeky move there of Radislav Kepa trying to go around the outside there of turn 11, turn 12, and then contact there right rear to left front. Surprisingly, Nexshack was the one that came out worse and not Radislav Kepa. I thought both drivers would have spun, but somehow Kepa is able to keep things together and not spin, and now we've got Kushor trying to chase down Radislav Kepa. 1.8 seconds the gap there between these two drivers, and we'll see if he's able to make up any pace. Nexshack nor Kepa came out with damage, which is very surprising here with 10 laps to go now. We got Nathan 1.1 seconds back there on Kushor. So we should start seeing, because it seems like Nathan is putting in very competitive times here in the Mercedes. So this battle between Kepa, Kushor, Nathan, and Franek, and probably Nexshack as well, I think is far from over. We should start seeing these gaps close down. But Split 2 has settled down quite a bit. Just a couple of VSCs we've had this race. No safety cars, but 10 laps to go. A safety car can change everything, and if you're someone like Baran or Nexshack, you're probably wishing for a safety car. If you're Kier and Maku, you really just want this race to stay green to the end, because 25 seconds the gap between Maku and Juro and 6 seconds between Kier and Maku. You really, really want to see this race stay green to the end if you're those two. And now Baran with a 1:19.90 fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Unfortunately for Baran, P12 outside of points paying places, but good to know that he can still pump in fastest laps on 16 lap on mediums. We're watching here Kushor coming around lap 24 of 33, coming through sector 3 as our leader is currently running through turn 3 here. So just immense pace. We're getting ready to start seeing Kier and Maku start lapping cars at this rate, which is very, very impressive. Kier has just been under control this whole race. Of course, great qualifying effort there. Baran was able to pull out a fast lap, but unfortunately for Baran, not able to capitalize. Kier, Maku, and the two halves just cruising in a league of their own. Juro in P3, who now has a 6.7 second gap on Mario's, is in a league of their own. So these drivers in the front just absolutely showing immense pace and immense speed. And now Zaki retiring from the session in the pit lane. So we're down from 18 drivers who started this race to just 12 now to finish the race. And everything, I mean, this is going to be smooth sailing for the next 8 laps. We can talk about, you know, what are the implications here on the championship? Well, Radislav Kepa with that contact with Nexshack, knocking Nexshack several positions back, should help keep Kepa in position there for the Drivers' Championship. Of course, Baran isn't going to finish in the points, though. We should see Nexshack jump through. Andre in P4 not racing this race, so that is going to knock him back as well. We've got Velix and Franek
there in P5 and P6. Juro should see a good jump up the board there in the Drivers' Championship. 8 laps to go here. Kier actually making it 7 laps to go now, as we're still watching as Radislav Kepa is just now coming through Sector 2 and coming around turn 9. 250 kilometer an hour, 7th gear down to the left-hander. I mean, it's just been so smooth. And I do want to give a shout out to all of these drivers for just very smooth, great driving this race. No big crazy things happening out. It doesn't look like weather is going to play an issue. A little bit of clouds up in the sky, but still overall very, very sunny. Little bit of a battle heating up here that we can see near the end. It's going to be Freinig on Nathan. This should be a battle that'll shape up for P7 here near the, P7, excuse me, here to the end of this race. And we'll see what driver is going to be able to come out on top of this race. And this run here, as we watch the drivers coming through, run down towards P10 again. And just continuing very, very smooth through. Freinig, 0.4 of a second. Does have a couple lap difference between his hard tires and Nathan's hard tires there. Just a couple of laps difference, though. So nothing too drastic unless Nathan has not been conserving tires. Sometimes it's hard to tell just what drivers have done. Freinig, though, with a poor exit out of the chicane and a very, very poor final corner, and that allows Nathan to just open up a gap here. But Freinig does have DRS running down into turn 1. That should help him close back up, and now he's going to have to fight and earn all of that back, so that little slip up there costing big time. Yellow flag sector 2, I believe that is Baran who has spun. And Baran should be our first driver going the lap down now with that spin, which is very unfortunate. 5 laps to go here in this Spanish Grand Prix. It's been a very uneventful one. And I feel like I'm probably going to be jinxing myself by saying that, but really looking through, it is... yeah, it's just been, this has been a good race. Sorry, there's not a lot to say, but it's just been such a good race. It's been very clean racing. I haven't seen anything that I've been like, oh, that's not right. You know, there's no bad sportsmanship, nothing through. Everyone's been a very professional driver and kept it very consistent. It's just gaps have opened up as we go. Of course, Zaki, Pink, Insidious, Topove, Mumamek, and Kubu all DNFing out. 12 drivers are going to finish this race. Baran into the pits onto a set of softs now. And as we watch here, Freinig, who is trying to catch up to Nathan after losing a lot of time a couple laps ago there in the final sector as we roll into the final sector again. And Freinig half a second back now. He was up to around 0.2, 0.3 of a second and lost time with a poor final corner exit. You can see pushing very hard, trying to stay close there to Nathan. This time a little bit closer. Nathan has a good run out of the final corner, though. But Franick has a good run out of the final corner as well and has DRS this time by. I don't think that Franick is close enough to capitalize with DRS, but is going to be close enough to try to apply pressure. You have to watch those sausage curbs on the inside of turn 1, though. You can see Franick bumping over those sausage curbs. Thankfully, no damage, I believe, but upsetting the car balance just a bit and losing a little bit of time there out of turn 1. And if you have been watching, you'll notice that Nathan is 2 seconds back on Kushor. So 3 laps to go. Nathan, if Kushor makes a mistake, could be in a good position to capitalize and try to earn a P6. Franick continuing to try to chase down Nathan, though, as they go through. DRS open here. Nathan, Franick, they're going to hold position again, but now the gap down to 0.3 of a second here, and Franick just has to follow here through the final sector. And that is precisely what you can't do. Franick picking up on the sausage curbs and now dropping all the way back to P10, running wide there out of turn 15, the second bus stop. And just throwing the race away with just 3 laps to go, dropping all the way back to P10 now. Several seconds behind from where Franick was. And it's very unfortunate because that is going to be that battle over for Franick, and I don't think Franick is going to have enough time and has probably overheated the tires with that little spin around that I don't think Franick is going to be able to chase down Velix either. 3.4 seconds, 3.5 seconds now, 3.6 seconds now the gap between Velix and Franick. So that is going to be that over. That's very unfortunate for the driver of that McLaren of Franick. As Baran puts in a 1:18.4, fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Of course, Baran back in P12 with a very unfortunate race. But fastest lap on the board doesn't hurt anyone. It does just take away points from the people up front, which if you're Baran and you're trying to help Aston Martin keep the Drivers' Championship and Constructors' Championship, is probably what you want to do. And now, look here, Maku just cruising through. Kier lapping the Ferrari there of Gamer with 2 laps to go. And I mean, what can you really say about the race from Kier and Maku? 32 seconds is the gap between Maku and Juro, and 8 seconds is the gap between Kier and Maku. So it's just, I mean, at this point, it's smooth sailing for the final 2 laps. All of the gaps on track are very wide. The field's very spread out. No safety cars to keep things bunched up here in split 2. So now it's just a cruise to the finish. And I mean, flawless victory coming from Haas for a 1-2 for this weekend. Haas seemed to do really well at this track from what I can remember here in FRL. So now it's just smooth sailing for a lap and some change here. Nathan, closest battle on track right now, Velix to next shack, and Nathan to Kushor. That gap is like roughly 1.5, 2.5 seconds between each driver, though. So that battle, I don't imagine, is going to heat up here into the dying stages of this race. We're coming through lap 32 of 33. This should be the start of the final lap for our race winner, Maku, opting to go into the pits there, put on a fresh set of softs. So Maku is going to try to take that fastest lap back from Baran here. And of course, 1:18.4 for us is a new track record here in FRL. The previous lap record was a 1:19.2 from Kashti. So Baran already setting a lap record, track record here, and now we're going to see just if he can set anything faster, or if Maku can set anything faster as we go through. So Maku is going to be starting a final lap. Baran speeding in the pit lane. So Baran opting to pit in for a fresh set as well, knowing he's a lap down. And here we go for Maku going for one final run here on the fresh set of softs. Is Maku going to be able to push through for a fastest lap, as his teammate here has just been cruising this race? 33 laps of uncontested domination coming through. Purple sector 1 for Maku, so Maku is going to try to steal that fastest lap back from Baran. Maku coming through middle sector now, very, very smooth looking, very controlled from the Haas driver as well. And as Maku continues to come around, we've got Kier, who is already coming across the third sector here and coming through the bus stop. So Kier, I mean, what can you say? It's just been a dominating weekend, and Kier is going to come across to win Split 2 in a dominant fashion here in FRL. Wins by 26 seconds against his teammate. His teammate is, of course, going for a fastest lap attempt as we go through. Mario's half a second back on Juro. We'll keep our eyes on that the rest of the way through, but Marios, of course, has a penalty that is going to have to be served, so I don't know where Mario's caught time on Juro. Very impressive to see. Is Maku going to be able to come across and set a fastest lap? Maku is going to come around and put in a purple sector 3, but I don't believe that was enough for a fastest lap. It was not, by just a 100th of a second here. Mario's trying to chase down Juro, not close enough to make that pass, and is going to lose out there. Radislav Kepa coming around P5. Very consistent race here from the points leader. Kushor will come across for a P6. And now Nathan, Nekshak, and Velix. Look at that battle going through. And Nekshak able to get around on the final corner and get past Nathan. P7 for Nekshak, P8 for Nathan, P9 for Velix. And then Franek, our last driver to come through. Of course, Gamer and Baran lapped. So Franek will come across to take the top 10 through. Very, very good race here from the drivers. Very uneventful, nothing too crazy happening. Driver of the day going to Gamer 2021. Very, very good race coming out of Split 2 here. Of course, Split 1. Haas sharing a double podium here in Split 2. And very, very well deserved there, because dominance on all fronts. I mean, qualifying was amazing. The race was amazing. Nothing too crazy coming out of that. So great race here from Split 2 in FRL for week 4. Absolutely loving what Split 2 has been bringing this season. Of course, next week is going to be Imola, and we'll see if we can see the same double Haas domination, if our points leader, Radislav Kepa, will hold on to the points. Of course, Stewards review after every race, so the standings could change slightly. Kier, Maku, Juro, Marios, Radislav Kepa, Kushor, Nekshak, Nathan, Velix, Franek, your top 10. And then Gamer 2021, Baran, Zaki, Pink, Insidious, Topove, Mumamek, and Kubu rounding out everything. Lots of... I don't think there were lots of incidents. Of course, there was the collision in the beginning between Topove and Kubu. Marios with a collision there, and then just track limits warnings, which are very unusual. A couple of unfortunate penalties there for Baran, ultimately ending his race hopes. Hang out with us here for just a little bit. We'll be back shortly with Split 1 coming to you live here from Twitch. And it looks like Noda is going to be your winner of this Portuguese Grand Prix.
is your champion. JJ splits the middle, gets past both drivers.